Israel's new security cabinet, a forum responsible for outlining and implementing the country's foreign and defense policy.
While Christians all over the world await the second coming of the Messiah, the Jews are still expecting his first appearance, and it seems like more than ever, they are close to receiving him. While this might be the most shocking news for some, fasten your seatbelts, because more shocking news is about to be revealed in today's video. What is happening in Israel? What does it mean for the world and Christians? Stay with us. It's rare for a prime minister to serve 3 different tenures. Still, even beyond this great feat, there is more to Benjamin Netanyahu becoming Israel's prime minister for the 3rd time. So if you're wondering what this means and why so much importance is attached to this seemingly random event, get ready to be wowed. Still, before answering your questions, it's imperative to note that from the past, Jewish rabbis always have answers to brewing questions about everything in Israel, from politics to governance to culture and so on. Often their answers are linked to past events or prophecies yet to be fulfilled, which is the same in this case. Jewish rabbis are divided between 2 options. Either Netanyahu's return is intended to herald the arrival of the impending Messiah, or he is the fulfillment of the 2-stage coming Messiah, the Mashiach ben Yosef and the Mashiach ben David. In case you heard enough, there's more to come. There is news as far back as 2022 that a rabbi claimed to have been in a regular meeting with the Messiah. Funny? Well, he isn't meeting with Jesus. After all, they don't believe Jesus is the Messiah because in the case of this video, we will be showing you in clear detail how Jesus fulfilled prophecies and is beyond all doubt the Messiah. Long before Netanyahu was re-elected, Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri, one of modern Israel's most revered sages, and Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, both predicted that Benjamin Netanyahu would be Israel's prime minister before the Messianic age. Many, if not most, of the ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel continue to believe that to be true. Now, if that isn't amazing, it is not just coincidental. Before going any further, let's quickly look at Netanyahu's life. Benjamin Netanyahu was the first Israel prime minister born in the state of Israel. All his predecessors, from David Ben-Gurion to Shimon Peres, were born in Europe before Israel became a nation. And although Yitzhak Rabin was born in Jerusalem, the land was still under the British Mandate of Palestine in 1922. Netanyahu is thus the first Israel prime minister born in Israel after May 14, 1948. As if to further cement his position as a member of the generation that resulted from the fig tree sprouting, Netanyahu was born not when Israel was still fighting the War of Independence, but as soon as the final truce agreement that led Israel to breathe easy was signed. Benjamin Netanyahu is also the youngest Israeli ever to be prime minister. At age 47, he became Israel's prime minister for the first time on June 18, 1996. In 2021, Benjamin Netanyahu became the undisputed longest-serving prime minister of Israel, leading Israel from June 1996 to July 1999, and from March 2009 to June 2021. Until 2021, Israel's Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion was the longest-serving Prime Minister of Israel. Without controversy, Benjamin Netanyahu is the most popular Israeli alive in the world today. He is the face of the State of Israel and the true representative of the generation of the fig tree that sprouted in 1948, according to the prophecy of Jesus Christ in Luke 21:24, about the times of the Gentiles, which will come to an end as soon as Israel regains full possession of Jerusalem. Of all the babies born in the fig tree generation, Netanyahu's history has become the most widely known not just by his fellow Israelis, but by the people of the world. Some of you watching this were still in the womb when Benjamin Netanyahu first became Prime Minister of Israel. The parents of some had not even met when Netanyahu began to lead Israel, and that was almost 10 years after he had represented Israel on the global stage as Israeli ambassador to the United Nations. Between 1984 and 1988, beginning this sensitive assignment at the young age of 35, and he is still set to leading Israel today. Furthermore, Benjamin Netanyahu is the most consequential prime minister of Israel, apart from David Ben-Gurion, having obtained 2 degrees at one of the best universities in America, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Benjamin Netanyahu mainly worked to unleash the creativity of the Israelis by moving Israel to a free market economy. Even his critics freely admit that the major reforms Netanyahu initiated led to significant improvements in Israelis' economic performance. The effects are still being felt years after his tenure as Minister of Finance 2003 to 2005 and Minister of Economic Strategy 2009 to 2013. This economic development in Israel contributed to making Israel second only to the United States of America in terms of its cybersecurity capabilities. To cut a long story short, the re-emergence of Benjamin Netanyahu in the political leadership of Israel is a development every serious person should pay attention to. Now, what does the emergence of Netanyahu mean for the coming of the Messiah? As his emergence as the prime minister last year, Netanyahu formed a coalition with the far-right Zionist group, a coalition that is fast falling apart. Now here is the interesting past. While some are concerned that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu-led coalition may fall apart, others point out that this event may have been predicted numerous times as a sign of better, much more messianic times. But what happened? After Hamas launched nearly 500 rockets into Israel, Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman, a longtime supporter of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, resigned after saying that asking for a ceasefire amounted to surrendering to terror. The resignation of Lieberman threw Netanyahu's shaky coalition out of balance. The Jewish Home Party's leader and Minister of Education, Naftali Bennett, took advantage of the turmoil to seek the vacant seat by Lieberman, which he has been eyeing ever since the coalition was originally formed following the elections. The alliance will lose its influence if Bennett withdraws his party from it. To quell the squabbling, the Prime Minister appointed himself Defense Minister and delivered a speech at the Defense Ministry reprimanding the misbehaving ministers. According to Netanyahu, during a military battle, one does not give up, does not engage in politics, and prioritizes the state's protection above all else. Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the Lubavitch Shabbat leader who died in 1994, was Netanyahu's strong link to the Messiah. When Netanyahu was Israel's ambassador to the United Nations in 1984, the two first met, before Netanyahu returned to Israel to join Likud in 1988. The Rabbi provided counsel that proved to be partly prophetic. He said he would fight with 119 people. I wonder what it is if this doesn't foreshadow the coalition problems plaguing the Prime Minister. Anyways, things keep getting more interesting about the Prime Minister and his link to the Messiah. His friend Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson said he is pained as a friend, as a brother, as a close friend to see how people constantly spill Netanyahu's blood. The rabbi went further to say that he had a surprise for everyone. He prophesied that Netanyahu would come out of it and he'll stand tall on God's side. He has a promise from the Rabbi and will make it through. We've seen it happen up to now, and that's how it will also be. He will make it through this and continue, the rabbi prophesied. He also said he hoped the Prime Minister would be able to hand his keys over to the Messiah and will have the complete and true redemption. This raises a very important question. What does the rabbi mean by saying he will hand over his keys to the Messiah? Breaking Israel News published by Rabbi Levi Sudri's opinion in May, showing many connections between the present Prime Minister and Jonathan, the son of biblical King Saul. According to Sudri, Netanyahu is fulfilling the role of Mashiach ben Yosef, Messiah of the house of Joseph, in the first half of the two-stage messianic process. Mashiach ben Yosef is a practical, commonplace process that includes reunifying exiles and the construction of the land of Israel. The second stage, Mashiach ben David, Messiah from the house of David, is a miraculous process that includes the David dynasty's re-establishment and the Third Temple's completion. He also stated that it is apparent to us that Netanyahu is fulfilling his destiny as Mashiach ben Yosef, or Jonathan's reincarnation, and he is clearing the way for the more transcendent Mashiach ben David, who will immediately follow. Let me also add that the name Netanyahu comprises the same Hebrew letters as Jonathan. Is this another coincidence, or are the facts adding up? Rabbi Moshe Ben Tov, noted for his ability to comprehend people's past and present by looking at the mezuzah on their door, echoed this sentiment. Rabbi Ben Tov made a stunning message to the Prime Minister after placing a mezuzah in the Prime Minister's office. He stated that Netanyahu's passion for Israel must endure until the Moshiach arrives, since he will remain in office and will be the one to hand over the keys to his office. Now, this brings us to another question. Would the Messiah come as a political leader? Belief in the imminent arrival of the Messiah is an essential component of traditional Judaism. It is one of Rambam's 13 principles of faith, which are the bare minimum of Jewish belief. They believe that the Messiah, also known as Mashiach ben David, or Messiah, son of David, will be a great political leader who is a descendant of King David. He will be well-versed in Jewish law and will follow its rules. He will be a dynamic leader who inspires others to follow in his footsteps. He will be a superb military leader who will lead Israel to victory. He will be an excellent judge who makes just decisions. Above all, he will be a human rather than a deity, demigod, or supernatural being. Messianic references are frequent in the Bible. In Deuteronomy 30-1, Moses prophesies that after the Jews have been scattered to the four corners of the globe, there will be a time when they will repent and return to Israel, where they will keep to the precepts of the Torah. In Numbers 24, the Gentile prophet Balaam predicts that Moshiach will lead this return. In Genesis 49, Jacob refers to Mashiach as Shiloh. The prophets Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Amos, Joel, and Hosea mentioned in the Messianic era. It's worth noting that the Israeli phrase, "and the wolf shall lay with the lamb," is etched on the wall of the United Nations building in New York. However, in the final days, Jesus warned that the counterfeit Christ would appear, posing as the Messiah and claiming to be the world's Savior. Jesus said we should beware that no one deceives us, for many will come in his name, claiming to be Christ and deceiving many. Paul likewise warned that Christians in 2 Corinthians 11 concerning false prophets who would preach about a Jesus who is not the real Jesus of the Bible. In 2 Thessalonians 2, he went further to talk about a man of lawlessness who will appear visibly on earth just before Jesus' second coming. Now, is that what we are expecting to come out of Israel? Is he the one Netanyahu would hand over his keys to? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Remember to drop a like and share this video with friends and family. Thank you for your time.